Greetings, it's Compiler and welcome to the Introduction to Blender for the Game Developer series. In this video we'll have a look at how it is possible to transfer details from high poly models to low poly with the help of normal maps. So let's get started. Alright, so for now we have something like this, a piece of architectural ornament structure. We can see here I've just intentionally subdivided it. For example, here this plane with the ornament is separate from the frame, let's say, okay? And this ornament from far away may not be really looking as 3D, and it may not be really needed to have such model stated, for example, from a distance from a player, if a player won't be able to see that properly. And of course, in order to optimize things, it would be better to, for example, transfer it to kind of a lower poly model, okay? In this particular case, this exact model is not that good because it was like simply subdivided and just applied some sculpting over that. So basically it's not optimized at all. You may do some kind of good optimization, it will be pretty nice looking, and there won't be any need to do anything else. But in case, let's say, we would like to remove this part at all and, for example, replace it with just a simple plane either over here, or just for simplicity of example, I will just put a plane over here, okay? And in order for it to look good, I will just add a rate modifier and increase the count to 4 so that it matches perfectly the shape of it, okay? So we have this model with an ornament and we have a plane model, okay? So what we can do right now, of course I will hide this frame, we can bake these details, the difference between different parts of this model to the normal map, okay, and just use it simply on a plane. So in order to do that, first of all, we'll have to create object of the same size. I will just, for now, close the array modifier, so we have only one piece of an object. We have this one as an ornament, is a high poly one, and this plane as a low poly one, okay? So they are in the same place, of the same size. The UV is perfect in case of a plane because it's just a simple plane, the default generated by Blender. In case of ornament, it still is the same plane because it was just simply subdivided, but we won't need it in for now. So what we can do, having this plane selected, first things first is to place it a bit higher, just a little bit, than the highest point of the ornament that we have here, highest point of the detail, okay? In case of a plane, it will be necessary. In case you have any other kind of object, you may try without that, maybe it will be working fine even without it, okay? So then, for this plane, because he will be baking on this plane, on this plane's UV map, on these textures, we'll have to add a material here. So I will just call it ornaments material or mat, okay, let it be like that. We don't need anything else here, just to add an image texture, because we'll have to bake it on an image texture. I'll create a new one, called it baked normal, okay. 4K resolution is nice, okay, and that's it. Normal is non-color, so I'll set it to non-color. And now what we'll have to do, switch to cycles render engine. It is important because cycles only have baking options. And down there in this section for baking, we can just go here, select bake type, find here the normal, here it is. And it is important, in this particular case, we won't be baking normal from this object to the texture, okay? This object doesn't have any normals. We want to bake it from here, from this ornament one, to the plane, okay? So we'll have to select both of them with the plane set as active, okay? It should have like more yellowish outline. In case of here, in case of outline, I will have lighter selection of a plane. If we don't have, you may have to change that to either by selecting everything in the other order or just holding Control. And if you click on any part of the selection, you will change this active selected object. Okay, active selection should be plain. It should be visible here at the nodes of this exact object. Okay, we have to of course select this node with the image texture, and it's important right now here to enable selected to active. Okay, by default is disabled. Selection to active. Okay, it means that the selected object, everything else that is selected, will be baked onto our active object. Other parts of this, other configurations, may be necessary, maybe not, depending on what you have and whether you have any problems. For example, the normal map texture doesn't produce you the correct colors like this from the cyan to magenta, yeah? It just gives you like a green, yellow one, etc. So you may want to play around with those values and see whether everything works, okay? The most important thing here, after selecting selective, in this particular case, just to click bake, I suppose. And after some time, of course, the render max samples is set to 1 because it doesn't really affect the baking of the textures. Even if it was like 4K or something, it won't still affect the quality, so basically you can just set it to 1 and it should be alright. Okay, and after baking we will have something like this. Okay, we have this normal map generated. As you can see, we have exactly the same structure of ornaments, exactly the same, let's say, pattern as we have on our model. So if we will connect this baked normal to the normal option, normal map, color, connected to normal, okay, we have something like this. Okay, it doesn't look 3D at all. Yeah, it still is 2D and it's kind of visible that it is. But in case we'll add this structure, I will just enable back the array modifier, okay? And from far away, you may not actually differentiate the difference between the previous one and this one, okay? Of course, there are shadows. You may increase the strength of the normal, for example, and they will be darker, so they will be visible from even further away. Still some problematic stuff, but if you want to optimize it pretty well, just to a single plane, you can do that via the normals, okay? In other case, if you have, for example, the other way around, this model, yeah, this one, this piece of an architecture, it could be a low poly model, okay? In this case, it isn't, but let's suppose it's kind of optimized. It will still look the same way, yeah, if you just will be using smaller shapes and less geometry over here, it will still be looking the same way. But for instance, the more high poly one will be damaged one. Okay, we have something like this. Of course, it's also the same model sculpted, as you can see, adding some damage to those ornaments. So basically, right now it doesn't look that simple. It's much more complicated, and it will be much more problematic to render because, as we can see, it is required to have this many polygons in order to display the shape. Okay, it is required, it is needed. In other case, there won't be anything like that. So we can do the same way as same thing as we did previously, just by having this ornament old model, yeah, with this destruction pieces of our model visible. Yeah, this will be the one that we want to bake, and we're going to be baking it to the basic ornament. Okay, so we will have to use the material, ornament material. Okay, I just in case unplug the bake normal from the normal map. Okay, so we just do the same thing but having different models. Okay, the one with low poly is just the simple ornament, and the one that's high poly with the aging influences. Okay, so once again, selection to active, and if I click bake, after some time we will see the results. So basically, this may be the case if you want to bake like such kind of details over the lower poly details, still having this 3D looking object in your scene, yeah, in your game engine, but without actually needing to import this kind of complicated models because it will reduce the frame rate. Okay, so after the backend we have something like this. It looks a bit more interesting. And if we will close the old model, okay, having this one only, just connect it to normal, if we have something like this, okay, it is still the same model. If I will turn off the materials, we will see that it is still the same model. It could be as optimized as possible, okay, as low poly as possible. There is no problem with that. And after applying this normal map that we've baked in render engine, it looks better than here, obviously. So here it is. Yeah, we have something like this. From this part, of course, as you can see, depending on the light source, it looks kind of different, but still adding several those options, several those objects over the structure, we have something like this. Of course, it looks much better than previously, almost the same as here. Of course, the strength of the normal, it was increased to 10. Does this work? Okay, setting to 1 would be nice. And actually between them, I can't say that there is much difference. Of course, that there is some, a little bit, but still this low poly version with the normal map contains all the necessary details, and from further away these won't be visible at all. Yeah, and make sure to save this image because it's not saved by default. So basically image, save as, etc, somewhere on your drive in order to be able to use that later. Okay, actually it may not be the final version of your model. You may just use this normal map, for example. It just, like, say in this case, just a simple plane with a repetitive pattern. Okay, and you may use it in any way you like on different models, just adjusting the UV properly. You may just plug it in to anything else and use it just fine. But of course, in the end, you will have to bake this new model on the texture. Yeah, so this is pretty much it concerning this normal baking. I hope this video was interesting or helpful. So if it was, give a like, post a comment, and of course subscribe. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.